Welcome back to another episode of Lionheart Radio. I'm your host, Rick Alexander, founder of Louis Supplement Company. I'm here with my co-host, Memo Ochoa.
Hey guys, how you doing?
And Claudia.
Hi guys, Claudia Challoner here, Doctor of Physical Therapy with Muma RX and nationally ranked powerlifter. So we have an exciting guest today. We have Chappie Hunter, who is a detective for the San Diego Police Department, owner of Alpine Ranch CrossFit, volunteer with Challenge Athlete Foundation, badass adaptive athlete, and pretty much the nicest person you would ever meet.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Nailed the intro.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So you have a very interesting past. So can you tell us a little bit about maybe talking about your career path first, and then we'll get into the other nitty-gritty details?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, how far are we going to go back? So
All the way back to TJ.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, to TJ.
I want to hear about you.
Party.
Yeah.
No, let's see. So I after high school, I actually said, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to break and go away to college, and I took off and I went to Arizona, Northern Arizona University in Flagstaff. And I got up there for about 8 months and finally realized that, oh my God, I don't know what the heck I'm doing up here, and I can't survive without my parents because of being a little sheltered kid. It was nuts.
Where were you from originally?
From San Diego. I was born and raised here, and I was smart, and I said, hey, I need to come back home and square my stuff away before I throw my whole life away. Yeah. So I came home and I went back to state, and I immediately jumped into EMT, or emergency medical technician school. And after I got trained there, I got picked up immediately by an ambulance company called Sterling Ambulance, which was a new ambulance company that just started. And I worked there for 3 years. On my last of those 3 years, I had a partner who was also volunteering and working down in Tijuana as an EMT. And that was for Rescate Halcones. Rescate Halcones was the only advanced care life support ambulance in Tijuana at the time. We were connected to one of the fire stations there. And I went down there once a week to volunteer, and wow, that was some craziness right there, but it threw my learning experience to the roof.
Yeah, if you're going to unshelter yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I want
ambulance in Mexico. That's the way to go.
So my dad was a battalion chief on the San Diego Fire Department, and I swear, I mean, that's where I was going. I said I was headed in that direction, and so then I put in for paramedic school, and at the same time, for whatever reason, I got this itch to go and take the police test for San Diego Police Department at 21 years old, actually 20 years old. And the day I was supposed to start paramedic school, I actually got a phone call that morning from San Diego PD saying, hey, do you want a job? And I went, school money. Yeah. Money!
Every time, money.
And I packed up, and that day I was actually at the police academy at 21 yeyears old. And I did some really fast growing up at that time.
So money was the only factor in your decision?
Yeah, I would probably say at the time, and I was still a little young, still a little immature, still trying to figure out life in a whole, and I thought that was going to be a good direction to go. Thinking initially that maybe I'll just be a police officer for a couple of years and then I'll transition over to be a firefighter, but I mean, the minute I graduated the academy and went out in the field, that was it for me. I was
very cool.
I was happy as a lark. Yeah. I was hooked. And then 22 years later, I'm sitting here at the table with you guys. Yeah. So that's where we're at.
Very cool. And a few things have happened in between that 22 years, as I understand.
Yeah, I mean, I've had an awesome career with the police department. I mean, I worked 13 years in patrol, worked some of the highest crime areas in San Diego. I did 8 years with SWAT, 2 years as a SWAT sniper. I was a field training officer for a lot of the trainees that came through, and did a lot of work with them. In 2007, I got promoted to detective and went to the Vice unit and started working in Vice. That's when I kind of fell into the human trafficking realm and did a lot of work in that field. And then currently now I'm working over in the Investigations Bureau outside of Vice.
How important do you think fitness has been to your success in the police department, I guess?
Oh, it's been huge. I was actually got the top physical fitness award in the academy when I was in the police academy. That was kind of the start of it. And the one thing, unfortunately, about the police department is there's no physical fitness standards once you graduate the academy. You're on your own. If you want to decide to be a donut eater and not burn it off the next day, you can. And I didn't go that route. And I trained every day in the gym before I'd go to work. And or if it was a late night shift, then when I got off work, I'd train before I came home. And then one day we discovered CrossFit, and that really changed everything.
Didn't it for everyone?
Yeah, it pretty much changed everything.
This is awful, but I want to keep doing it.
Yeah, I can remember to this day. Actually, my current lieutenant, who's in charge, who is my boss right now, he and I were the ones that did my very first CrossFit workout together. And he came into the police department gym, and he says, "Hey, I got this workout we're gonna do. We're gonna do 3 dips and 3 pull-ups, as many times as you can, back and forth." And I went,
Yeah.
"Come on, we're gonna be here. We're gonna be here forever. We gotta get to work here in a little bit." He's all, "Let's just see what happens." Oh my god, I was dying, and that was the first one that started. And I said, "What is this stuff?" And we jumped right in.
Yeah. I think that's what happens. That's the same time I looked at Fran for the first time, right? I'm like, oh, it's a superset. We'll be done in 2 minutes. 12 minutes later, I'm on my back. Trying to figure out.
At the academy, my buddy's like, "You want to do CrossFit?" I'm like, what's CrossFit? And he's like, "Well, let's just do the workout." And it was as many deadlifts at 225, I forgot what the time was, but I did. I'm like, this was awful.
Awful.
Yeah.
Awful. Why are we? I'm like, this is so dumb. Why are you doing this? And then here I am, 8 years later, still doing it. I'm like, all right, this is it's pretty cool. I love it.
Yeah, totally. So for your athletic background, what did you do before CrossFit or before the police academy?
So in high growing up, I've mostly played soccer for organized sport wise, but I played every sport possible intramural wise. Organized was mostly soccer, indoor soccer. Once I hit high school, I dedicated to wrestling, and then I was wrestled all 4 years. Won CIF, my junior senior year. Went to masters, and unfortunately I had a pretty severe injury in the semifinals to my ribs, and I was unable to finish, and therefore I wasn't able to go to state. But we're not going to whine about that. Went back, and then just from there, it was just a matter of just being active and doing the basic, global gym workouts was really it. And I would run a ton. I think most of my distance was like 6 miles at the most for normal working out, but just normal bench press, curls, and all that crazy stuff. Was it? Yeah,
we were all there.
Yeah.
Bench on Mondays.
Yeah.
Monday, Wednesday,
Right?
Tuesday, Thursday, back and by. That's right.
And what year did you get started doing CrossFit? What year was that?
I started in 2000, and it was right around 2003 or 4.
Oh wow, so you were an OG.
It was right in the beginning. Wow. But yeah, now in regards to doing like him, like we're just looking stuff up and saying let's try these different workouts, as opposed to when I actually officially started at a gym for a CrossFit box. That was in 2009.
Okay.
Yeah, 2009. But we were dabbling in it from the beginning, just kind of going back and forth.
CrossFit.com main site WOD.
Yeah, not knowing what you're doing at all.
Yeah.
That's how
It was mostly
for me.
just friends coming in saying, "Hey, let's do this today," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"All right, let's do it."
They used to have a library of videos. If you saw the movement, didn't know what the movement was, watch the video, do it for time.
Yeah,
person in their gym,
there were
awful video quality.
no videos.
Yeah.
No videos. It was just
That's
let's just do this and see what happens.
Exactly. Awesome. So today is kind of a memorable day for you that somewhat changed your athletic career and your career in general. Tell us a little bit about maybe what significance today is for you.
Yeah, it's my 3-year anniversary today of an accident that absolutely changed my life forever. Something that can literally happen to anybody at any time in that split second, and it did for me. But I tried to make the best of it that I could. So on Father's Day, 2013, I was coming back actually from a non-sanctioned CrossFit event and down at the stadium, and I was riding my personal motorcycle home, and I was about maybe a half mile from my house coming up the boulevard, and there was a 17-year-old girl on her second day driving coming the opposite direction from me. And for whatever reason, she decided to make a left-hand turn into a driveway right in front of me, obviously not even realizing that I was there. I had little to no time to react at all. It was an instant accident. I hit the front right quarter panel of the car, and the hood of her car actually instantly severed my left leg below the knee. So my leg actually drops. I hit the windshield, go over the top, and land on the other side. And there were just angels that were sent from heaven that actually were in traffic right there that day. One car behind me was an off-duty paramedic, and 2 Navy corpsmen were living in the apartment complex right exactly across the street from where I got hit. All 3 of them came out. They removed the belt from their pants and tourniqueted my leg and saved my life. Life flight to the hospital. I think I was actually being wheeled in from the helicopter to the hospital. My dad had beat me to the hospital, and I was cruising in laying on my back, and I saw my dad, and I said, "Hey, Dad, everything's good." And I put my hand up, and we did a high five going through the hallway of the thing, because those drugs were good. Drugs were good. So yeah, that's what happened. They did the emergency surgery, sewed me up, and put me into bed. And basically, a day and a half later is when I really woke up, and I came to.
So now, go ahead.
So there was no question at that point. The leg was gone at that point.
Oh, yeah.
Instantly,
I mean, if I was awake and I could have crawled over to get it, by all means.
Right,
but, yeah,
right. But
I'm actually pissed they didn't try and save it for me, but whatever, it's okay. Yeah, but it was instantly, there was no chance for that. It was coming back at all.
okay.
I had a couple broken ribs. My left arm was shredded up pretty bad. I think the impact of the windshield was taken, the brunt of the pressure was taken by my forearm. There was a ton of glass that they had to remove and sew that up. No other additional broken bones besides the ribs, and then the concussion. Helmet saved my life.
Helmets are good.
Saved my life. I mean, I am thankful beyond all thankfulness that it knocked me out cold, because I don't remember any of it. Wow. And I'm very thankful for that, actually, because there's a lot of people that don't, and they have dreams and nightmares about stuff that happened to them.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I'm lucky for that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So going back to fitness, you were already into CrossFit and all that stuff. So how was it going back into your fitness lifestyle? How did that change?
Yeah, I was deep then. So I had already been doing it for a few years, and actually 3 months before my accident, I had just gotten certified for my level 1 coaching coach trainer cert. So I had that. And then I was actually starting to coach here at my house with a small focus group of about 8 individuals here to help me learn while I was doing it. I was building my garage out into a small box. And then I had my accident, and it was 8 days after my accident that I actually wheeled myself out in the garage in my wheelchair, with my nub sticking out in front of me there. And they were, and I had them get back in the garage and start training. I just started coaching them, from my chair there.
That's awesome.
8 days.
8 days.
Hell
8
yeah.
days. 8 days. And you know what? You want to be an athlete with the worst possible coach ever to try and complain, because when they can't do something, I'm like, hey, I don't want to hear your bitching right now. I lost my leg. Kick that up. So we did that, and that worked. That actually worked out. I still use it to this day. It works great. And then 21 days post-accident was the day that I did my full first CrossFit workout on one leg. And I actually videotaped that whole thing and put it on YouTube. And if you actually went to YouTube and typed in Chappie Hunter, the Alpine Garage, it'll pop right up, and you can see some pretty dumb stuff that I was doing.
That's awesome.
Some pretty dumb stuff. But you know what? It was motivational for me, and it made me feel good, and that turned out to be, a start for me to get back to being in shape again.
Yeah.
We'll link to that in the show notes.
Yeah,
just so
I'm
everybody
definitely check it
listening.
out after this.
Check it out.
I want to see that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like being a coach kind of helped you recover?
Did
that give you motivation to get back in?
I think just, CrossFit and Hall, I have said from the beginning that, the mentality and the physical fitness aspect of CrossFit really, I think, helped save me. I think I was strong enough to take the brunt of that punishment, that my body was able to recover quicker. And mentally, I'm going to throw 90% to, my wife and my son for being my true motivation to get back to being healthy again. But that other 10% was just the mental aspect of, I can definitely do this, from what I'd learned through CrossFit.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But as a coach, coaching wise, that here? Sorry, man.
It's like a beetle or something flying around over there.
3, 2, 1. So as a coach, it definitely, it was frustrating. Mm-hmm. It's frustrating not to be able to step into the gym and actually physically show, hey, this is what I'm talking about. But it really keyed my verbal cues to learn to be able to help people imagine what it was I was trying to explain to them. And then I would have, Arlene or somebody else that had a little bit more experience come out and help show the movements. But the majority of the time, it was just a lot of verbal cues.
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, it's like teaching someone that doesn't speak the same language as you.
Exactly.
You've got to figure out
Exactly.
another way to do it.
Exactly. And it worked out. And I think it 100% without a doubt, it motivated the athletes in here to work harder. And they're still here to this day.
And this is the original garage.
This, where we're sitting at right now, is the original garage. Although it was half the size back then, with about a quarter of the equipment. And as of a year ago is when I fully expanded to the size that it is now, and then actually affiliated and opened it up to bringing in membership.
Okay. Yeah, for everybody listening, we're directly in the garage, Alpine Garage Gym right now, or Alpine Ranch CrossFit.
There it is. There it is.
Beautiful location.
How many members do you have?
I am capped at 45.
Okay.
So I'm doing as best as I can to stay within county code, because I am a home-based business. Mm-hmm. I've got phenomenal neighbors, and I'm trying to be being 100% respectful to them. In addition to that, it's just my wife and I that are coaching, and I am not going to sacrifice safety over anything. So if we have anything more than 10 athletes in the gym at a time, one, there's not enough space, and two, my athlete to coach ratio is going to be 10-1 at the most. So I try and do that. So, but it works out, and we have the class time spread out, and we cap the number in each class, and except for on Saturdays. Saturdays are, everybody can come if they want, and because we always do a team workout on Saturdays. It's either 1, 3, or the entire group working together to go to a goal.
Awesome.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
This has got to be the best view I've ever seen from a CrossFit gym.
Oh, you got to see the backyard.
Oh, yeah?
See, the best thing is, so we have this awesome pool in the backyard. So it's going to be 90s for the next 2 weeks. So I will incorporate pool wads into my gym workouts. And they actually hate those more than anything else, because I'll just make them tread water until it's about time to save them. But it works out. It's actually a lot of fun, cools them off, and at the same time, it's beautiful back there too, so they can hang out and do that.
Yeah, coupling the water with fitness gets crazy quick. It's hard quick.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you guys have done the Frogman Challenge or if you've seen it.
I have not done it.
So they're sponsored by Progenics. I think it's a CrossFit competition that incorporates a pool. So muscle ups are out of the water, so they always have to be strict.
Oh my God.
Toast, they'll do like toast to ring, but out of the water, so you have that resistance of the water every time you bring your feet up.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it gets brutal.
Insane.
It's brutal. Yeah.
Insane.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, they get mad when I hand them, while they're treading water, a water jug, and then say, okay, you got to keep this out of the water.
Oh, yeah.
But I say, okay, you can pass it off if you want.
Yeah.
But it works good.
That's awesome.
So now, do you have other adaptive athletes that are drawn to the gym, or do you work with any adaptive athletes?
Yes. So being adaptive, I had to relearn everything. And at the time, except for CrossFit Rubicon and CrossFit Walter Reed, which is all in the East Coast, there wasn't really that much going on for adaptive CrossFit fitness and learning. I mean, I would jump on YouTube, I'd try anything that I could to try and figure stuff out, and there just wasn't much. So I basically started teaching myself how to redo everything again, especially the Olympic lift stuff. That was a whole game changer. All my PRs dropped down a lot. And I had to fight to start building those back up. To even this day, I'm still fighting to get them back up there. But what happened was as I started to do more and more with it, and I started to realize that I could actually do this, I actually reached out to Chef Wallace out there in CrossFit Rubicon, and I begged. I said, hey, can I fly myself out there and come spend a week or 2 weeks with you guys out there on Walter Reed and Rubicon? And he's like, why aren't you here already? And I'm like, awesome. So I flew out there, and I spent a week and a half out there with them, doing one, training with them, and two, also them allowing me to coach other adaptives that were there as well. Oh my gosh, that was just an absolute wealth of knowledge that I gained out there, and brought it back here to San Diego, and jumped in on the Crossroads Adaptive Athletic Alliance that they run from CrossFit Rubicon out there. And now I bring in, pretty much any adaptive athlete that wants to come here, and they come for $1 a month. That's all I'll charge them, because I tried to say free, and they said, no, we're paying to come here. I said, all right, fine, you pay me $1. Yeah. So that's how that came up. So you pay me $1, and that's it. So I have 4 adaptives right now. There's one with missing limb like me, and then there's a wheelchair athlete. There are and then there's there's 2 with missing limb. One wheelchair athlete, and then one with a TBI, or traumatic brain injury, that occurred from a accident from 30 years ago, and she's semi-paralyzed down the left side. She's one of the best.
She's an awesome lady.
She's one of the best athletes in here, motivating athletes in here. She works very hard, and she's the first one to come around to everybody and pat you on the back and say, you're doing awesome. I'm so happy to be here. And she's great. So yeah, Shelly, I love you. You're awesome. Yes. So, and again, that's just nothing but motivational and inspirational for the other athletes that are in here. And they also help out if needed, if I need help with them. But for the most part, we're just focusing on balance and getting better in movement and life, and not necessarily looking to become games athletes. Sure. We're looking to just better their lives.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So
So can you talk a little bit about the Challenge Athlete Foundation and how you work with them? All
right, lifesaver number 2. So my second day, actually, the day after I had really woken up from the hospital, all of a sudden there's this person standing next to my bed in the hospital with a polo shirt on that had CAF, or Challenge Athletes Foundation, on it, and I'm like, hi, and they're like, hey. Like, Chappie, how you doing? I'm like, I'm great. They're like, hey, you ready to start running? I'm like, what are you talking about? And they just showed up at the hospital. I had never heard or anything about the organization before in my life, and they were 100% honest about everything that they said. They said, we are going to get you back up and going again. And Challenge Athletes Foundation is a foundation that supports all adaptive athletes that are trying to better their lives, and they support financially through donations that you can apply for grants on an annual basis to get things that insurance isn't going to cover, or for stuff that's going to help you compete. And for me, my insurance covered my everyday leg, my walking everyday leg. They weren't going to cover anything beyond that. So CAF actually paid for my entire running leg. And if anybody wants to take a guess on how much a lower limb prosthetic costs.
Carbon fiber? Is that
Full best carbon fiber. Let's just say the leg that I got on right now, my running leg, running leg right here with the carbon fiber foot, carbon fiber thing below the knee. What are we talking here?
Oh, man.
My knowledge of fake legs
Just
is
taking
not
a guess.
high.
Just taking a guess.
Prosthetic leg.
Well,
I'm gonna go
material
with,
alone, a couple thousand. Just design.
I'm gonna go with $37.95. $3,795.
Oh, you're close. $22,000 for this leg.
$22,000.
$22,000
Holy cow.
for each of my legs. So insurance-wise, obviously, is what we're talking. Right. The actual ability to, if I were to go and build this myself, if I had the ability to do so, we were probably looking at about, $8,000, $9,000. But insurance costs are through the roof. And so I had a lot of people after my accidents that from other CrossFit gyms, from my work, family, friends, everything that came together. And they did fundraisers for me, and they raised a ton of money to help me out. And I took that money and I put it in the bank, and I used that money almost every single month to pay for things that insurance doesn't. And then the bigger products like the leg, or I actually have my snowboard leg over there. So I have a snowboard leg, which is from BioDAP Systems. It's actually made for snowboarding, for motocross riding, and something like that. It's got a Fox shock. It has a Fox shock in the ankle. So you gotta imagine, I don't have an ankle anymore.
Yeah, you can't take all that.
I can't. So anytime hits. So if I'm gonna squat at all, my heel comes off the ground because I'm gonna be on my toe because I have no ankle. Right. Well, the Fox shock in the ankle gives me 30 degrees of ankle flex. Oh. So now all of my ollie lifts and all my deadlifts, I converted the snowboard leg over to doing all my ollie lifts with, and now my foot is completely flat on the ground, and I can push right through my ankle that I don't have. I can now push through that down from my femur through my knee and stuff, and it's changed everything for me lifting wise. It's changed everything.
How long have you had that?
I just got that leg about 6 months ago, and I went snowboarding again for the first time and flew down the hill. Hell yeah. Had a blast, and then I converted it and started working out here in the gym with it and loving it. Absolutely loving it.
So no one really told you about that, like to convert it to your lifting?
No, absolutely not. There was.
You just kind of figured that out.
Yeah, Jason Sturm, who is an adaptive athlete out of CrossFit Rubicon, he actually had just got his BioDAP foot, and he was using it for back squat. And I said, "Look at that!" I said, "Your foot's flat, dude." I said, "I'm buying that when I get home." And so I bought it, and then I came here and I just started working on it. Just kept working on it, and boom! It was almost instant that I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing!" So it works great. Works great. Works great. It allows me to completely break 90 degrees in my squat and everything. So that's great.
Fantastic.
Very cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
You never think about the fact that insurance doesn't care if you're a CrossFit athlete, right? Or a police officer.
No.
They just want to do, I would think the bare minimum to say we helped you get back to life, right?
Well, they weren't, I mean, insurance, I can go for hours on that. But I mean, I basically told them, I said, the only reason why I'm not going to go back full duty to the police department is because you're not going to give me the equipment that I need to go back full duty to the police department. You're hindering my life. And then that basically changed a little bit with their attitude, I think, towards me. And the next thing I know, I have an excellent everyday leg that I walk. I can also sprint in if I need to. I can do everything that I need to do in it. But all the other stuff is just accessory that they're not going to do for me.
Yeah. That's an undeniable quality of the CrossFit community, I think, is their ability to kind of come together and
it was phenomenal.
Rally around.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
So was being medically retired something that they were trying to push to you? And were you, thinking about it at all?
No, I'll give credit to my department. They were actually very, very, very supportive of me. I don't think that I ever gave them a chance from the day that I showed up and I refused to take the wheelchair out of the hospital.
Yeah.
They actually gave me an escort home with the motorcade home in the car. And I think from that day forward, after they saw me on the YouTube video 21 days after the accident, they're like, okay, nothing's going to stop this guy coming back. So they were extremely supportive. They actually did an awesome fundraiser too that helped me out a lot. They actually had the Chargers there, a few of the Chargers, and they did a huge fundraiser down at Balboa Park for me. And then about 4 months after my accident, I came back light duty, and they allowed me to work in a light duty status while I was there. I had a couple more surgeries that I had to go through that pulled me down for a month at a time here and there. And then every time I would just fight day after day after day to get back physically so I could get back to work. And 1 year and 29 days post-accident, I put the uniform back on and came back full duty.
That's awesome.
That's it.
Yeah.
Great.
I think there's some people that, right, they need adversity, and adversity kind of pushes them down. And there's people that get around it. But then there's also people that just punch it right in the face, right? And it looks like that's the route you took.
And literally, because, standard-wise, so the police department said, I went to him, about 2 months before I was going to think that I was going to be ready to come back. And I said, okay, what do you need me to do? I'm thinking everything. And they're like, we need a doctor's note and go qualifying your gun. I went, I just lost my leg. You don't want me to go jump a fence or something?
I'll show you I can do that.
You don't want me to do something? No. And whatever policy and procedure wise that came down over the years that created that thing that there's no additional physical fitness test to come back to duty, I was like, well, forget that. I'm going to develop my own. And that's what I did. So I went back and I did all the physical fitness obstacle course and blew through that. And then I also went over to an officer that runs his own MMA gym out of his garage. And I fought. I ground fought with my leg on and with my leg off. And I would be in the gym telling them, I want you to try and pull my leg off while I'm fighting to see every single aspect that it would take. Because the one thing that I did not want was any question from any of my peers at work that if I showed up on scene and they needed me to save their life, that I wasn't going to be able to. And I think I squashed all those pretty good. Yeah. So I actually fight better without my leg on. So don't try and take it off. Yeah.
That's great.
That's it.
And does Nike make that, or does Nike make the shoe? Because I keep seeing the swoosh mark on the. Okay, so
the actual leg itself, so the actual blade part for the run leg is made by Össur. Össur's a prosthetic company that makes a lot of different feet and leg parts and knee parts and so on and so forth. The foot sole, this is just a rubber foot sole, and Nike has the patent on making the foot soles for the specific leg. And then the actual socket, which is where my leg fits into, is designed by the prosthetist, whatever prosthetist that you go to. And then I have the big design on the back for my prosthetist, Peter Hart's Prosthetics, who I'm going to say is my lifesaver number 3. And he developed my legs to give me the ability to do what I can do. And I am very thankful to him for that.
Did they like scan your leg, or did they just do like a cast and then do the mold and then do the carbon fiber wrap around the
yeah.
Okay.
So it's all molded. So it's just like if you're gonna go and you broke your arm and you have to get casted. It's basically the same exact way that they do that process. A little bit more lengthy because they need to make sure that it's perfectly fitted to all the different parts. Because my leg, if you take my sleeve off my leg and you look at it, it is not a normal looking nub. It is, it's got crevices and corners, and I had skin grafts and stuff that you have to protect. Plus, my injury was traumatic. So if you were to peel the skin back and look inside, looking straight up from my which used to be my fib, it's just a crunch jagged end of a bone. So it's not like they went in there and shaved it all down and make it nice and pretty. It's, it's an emergency surgery and they need to seal me up to protect me from infection. So I cannot take any downward pressure, none at all. So when I'm in my prosthetic, all the pressure is placed on my patella tendon is about probably a good 60% of the pressures on my patella tendon. And then the other 40% or maybe like 30% is directly back in I call it my knee pit. So back here, and then the rest of it is just a squeeze of the circumference all the way around what used to be my calf, and then so whenever I push down, that's where the pressure's going, and I am only touching the bottom of my prosthetic, and I never have downward pressure. If I were to literally fall without my prosthetic on and went straight down to my nub, it would probably explode. So it's just something that I live with, not something I do. So. Yeah.
When you run, do you start developing other like hip problems just from not range of motion, but your gait being different and that kind of a thing?
Me, no. If you're not taught how to properly run, then yes, absolutely. It's just like anything with mobility stuff. I mean, if you're not taught how to do it properly, then no. And so my prosthetist, who's also a triathlete, he's done Ironman several times, and he's a phenomenal runner, and he holds clinics. And CAF holds clinics to say, hey, let us come show you how to walk, run, do all these things. And he's the one that got me going for that. And so from day one, I've been balanced, and I fight to be balanced with everything on my legs, even all my movements in CrossFit. I want to be 100% balanced. And that's the hardest thing as a coach, bringing the adaptive athletes in here who are not, and having to train them to go back to using their prosthetic side and balancing them out. So
that's almost an art form in itself. I got to imagine, because I've got both of my legs and I'm not balanced.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, like, you see balanced people walking around the gym and they're not adaptive athletes.
Right.
Well, the doctor here may have a different story on my balance, but for me, I am even. So that's.
We won't talk about your shoulders.
We won't talk about my shoulders. Yeah. But I'm looking good in my squat. That's all.
That's what matters.
I want to see
Looking
that,
good in my
that new
squat.
leg for sure.
You got it.
Yeah.
You got it.
So going back to what you learned at CrossFit Walter Reed and Rubicon.
Yes.
Are you like putting together your own program that it's gonna, since you couldn't find any information prior, are you like building something or adding to their program?
I am now affiliated. So I'm affiliated through CrossFit for my gym, and I'm also affiliated through Crossroads Adaptive Athletic Alliance.
Okay.
And they have a core group of athletes that they've developed now instructional videos for below knee amputees, above knee amputees, bilateral amputees, arm amputees, wheelchair athletes, everything that you can possibly think of. And you can go to their website and click on a link that will say, okay, I have a below knee amputee. I'm trying to teach them how to do a squat. Boom, there it is.
Oh, wow.
And so, and in addition to that, they hold training classes, which they held here in San Diego a while back. And then I went out and helped them with that. And then we go and train and teach. And then on top of that, the other local gyms here, occasionally they'll call and they'll say, hey, I would love to bring you in and let you talk to my coaching staff for, a half hour to an hour and teach us in case somebody were to walk through the door. And the number one most important thing with anything related to an adaptive athlete is accepting them in and making sure that they're included in everything that happens in the gym.
Yeah.
Are they going to be scaled? Are they going to be even possibly doing different workout? Yes. But they're going to be here and they're going to go right alongside everything that everybody else is doing in here. And they love the inclusion. Mm-hmm. That's it. So for me developing that, I'm trying to do my best out here to make that a reality for San Diego, period.
So many adaptive athletes or people that struggle with maybe internal situations might not be as outgoing with you as you have been through your recovery. So what kind of advice would you give for someone that might be struggling with their injury, or now that they're an adaptive athlete, or maybe they're struggling with something else.
Insecurities.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There's the one thing that I do when I volunteer for CAF and I go and give talks, or if I'll even show up bedside at hospital for people that just had an injury a day or two before, like mine. And then I go and give my talks, and the one thing that I always start out with and end with is the fact of just never giving up on life. Mm-hmm. And finding whatever it is that is important in your life to drive you to get better. My drive was my wife and my kid. And the fact that I know I had to be a husband, a father, and a man to be able to support my family. And that was my drive. And whatever that is for somebody, find it, hold on to it, and work your ass off every day to achieve it. Do I have days or weeks when I'm standing in a shower on one leg, balancing and pushing against the wall because I'm almost going to fall down sometimes, and I'm watching myself day and out like that, and I start to feel depressed, and I start to feel bad for myself, and then I hop out of the shower, and then there's my family sitting there, and the next thing I know, 5 minutes later, I'm fine. It's like, the other thing too is on top of that, which I came to realize, is there's what I have is a paper cut. I mean, there's people out there that have trauma, whether that's invisible trauma or whether that's true physical trauma, especially the war veterans coming back from Afghanistan the devastation that they have in their life as a whole. I mean, I can't even imagine that. So I always tell myself that, hey, you know what? You are a lucky man, and you just have a paper cut and get your butt back out there because you have nothing to complain about. So mostly it's just a matter of picking what you want and fighting for it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, it seems like first of all, having perspective, and then finding your why.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah, if you go to my Facebook today, you'll see a picture of my boy doing my physical therapy for me.
I was like, yes, physical therapy training.
He was doing my physical therapy for me.
Extension right there.
At 5 years old, and that was it right there. And it brings tears in my eyes as I was putting that in there and going, you know what? He's one of my lifesavers right there.
Yeah, totally.
So,
That's awesome.
Cool.
So fitness not only has been a driving force, like just within your home and within CrossFit, but out in the community for you. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a little bit about the PE program that you kind of have going on? Oh, yeah.
So I live here in Alpine, and it's a suburb of San Diego, and there's 3 elementary schools in Alpine, and my boy goes to Boulder Oaks Elementary School. And last year, I was talking to him about what he does at school during recess and what he does for PE. And he's like, what's PE? I said, no. And he's like, really? Wow. And come to find out that there's no really PE anymore, period, in school systems, especially public school systems. God. A lot of the charter schools will have it, but there's really not. Yeah. And so I went over there one day, and he had an amazing teacher, and he was in 2nd grade, and I said, hey, I'm like, why don't we just maybe once a month I'll come here and we'll have your kids in the class, and we'll just do something fun, have some fun athletic things going on, and we'll do like a little obstacle course thing or something like that. And that one day, went from those kids coming outside and having an absolute blast, and they actually went back into class. The teacher came back in and said they went back into the class actually more attentive and more ready to learn and they wanted more of it.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. Imagine that.
Connection, exercise the brain.
So then we started talking more, and I said, well, I could actually, program something like this, and I could come once a month and just run these kids through for a half an hour and do something fun from it. Turned into that's what I was doing every week. So halfway through the school year, that's what I started to do. So every week I would go, and it was just his classroom. And then the next thing you know, all the other kids are standing at the fence or they're standing at their classroom window going, why don't we get to do that? Why don't we get to do that? And then the principal jumped on board, and she was like, this is great. It's a lot of fun, and we have the time to make it happen. And at the very end of that school year, she said, hey, we have an extra classroom. Would you like to use that classroom? Because on the days like it's going to be 112 on Monday out here, it was too hot. There was no way we were going to do it out on the asphalt. And then the other days when it was too cold, what were we going to do? So I kept having to cancel at times. She's like, I got a classroom. I'm like, great. So then I went out and I said, all right, I need equipment. So I got donations. My parents actually donated money, and I outfitted the entire classroom like a miniature CrossFit box. And then this year, the new principal took over, and she was like, this is we're making this happen. And so every single week, what I did is I do all the programming. There's a warm-up, a skill that's specifically associated to the Presidential Fitness Award. Mm-hmm. So whatever that is, we're going to learn. And then in addition to that, squat. So squatting, and then everything else related for the Presidential Fitness Award they have to do in 5th grade. And then after that, they have an actual workout or a WOD. And then after that, they have a game. And all of that is done in a 45-minute time frame. Mm-hmm. And so I developed a lot of the games, and then I also got a lot of help from the Brand X method up in Ramona, who does a lot of kids and teen stuff. And so now we're in the process of trying to make Boulder Oaks Elementary a Brand X method school, and the kids are performing amazing.
Yeah,
amazing,
of course.
Awesome.
Amazing.
That's cool.
Yeah, that is really cool.
Yeah.
Because active duty police and Alpine Ranch CrossFit and CAF was not enough.
It's a lot of work, but at the same time, I'm looking at my own son's future. So, not to say that if he wasn't there, that I still wouldn't put myself out there for it. But you know what? I want him to have a healthy lifestyle and to be and set an example for the other kids. And I think that that's happening, mm-hmm. and the kids are loving it. And I think that at the end of this year, which ends next week, you're going to see a definite improvement in testing scores and everything. So
that'll be
awesome.
the catalyst, I bet.
Yeah.
So we're hoping by next year that this is going to be like an official thing for the school, that we can actually branch out to the other schools here in Alpine, possibly the other schools in the community.
So why do you think many schools aren't trying to look at something like this?
Funding. Yeah, funding.
Yeah.
Funding's everything in life, period, nowadays. I mean, just for the police department, let alone anything else. But school, I mean, so much has been taken away from these schools, which is only affecting our children's education. And the biggest thing that's been cut is physical education, because math, English, the stuff that we have to do in the classroom is a priority for testing. But nobody realizes that it's the actual physical activity that gets the blood pumping, that pushes the blood to the brain, that actually makes the brain function to be able to do that stuff. And I think Kelly Starrett's a huge proponent of that stuff when he's doing the stand-up desks thing right now. He's actually trying to introduce stand-up desks, which I have at my work for myself, to try and improve that. Or even if it's before you're going to take a major test, you know what? Do 10 burpees and then get up and take your test. Mm-hmm. And I truly believe in that. So
I believe his website is standupkids.org, I think. You can probably find the link to it.
Okay.
Link it up. But he's putting out some really good information and stuff. So
yeah, we talked about that book Spark as well.
Yeah.
Which it talks about the correlation between fitness and cognitive function and the role that BDNF plays and all that. I'm sure you can speak to a little bit better, but
Yeah, no.
seeing the test scores will help people draw that direct line, and I think that will be what, hopefully.
Yeah, what drives.
Yeah. And me being a high school graduate, I'm not a doctor, but all I know is that what I see and the abilities that those kids are having and how well they're performing, what I see in school and the teachers give back to me, I'm sold. Let's keep doing it.
Yeah.
I agree. Didn't CrossFit do a little study or project on that, having like kids do a little circuit, some kind of circuit training, and then having them do some like math, or I saw it somewhere. It might have been CrossFit. I don't know. I forgot where I read it.
I'll have to look that up.
But yeah, they were saying that, just like we were, you guys were saying, their cognitive function just went through the roof. Mm-hmm. Again, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Goddamn death beetle is bad. Buzzing all over the place.
Don't be scared of it. Just go on over there and push him out. Yeah, you. It's not a bee. It's just a beetle. It might poop on you. That's about it.
Beetle buzzing around in the garage.
Yeah. Well, cool. Is there anything else that we haven't asked you that you kind of wanted to talk about?
Oh my god. No, I think you guys have nailed pretty much everything. I'm just very, very excited that you guys actually chose me to come out here and do this. I'm humbled by that.
You're the nicest guy I know.
I'm humbled. I'm humbled by that. So, I guess the main thing is that Alpine Ranch CrossFit as a whole, I'm committed. It's something that I'm really hoping to be able to expand here in the future and possibly even in the near future. And if that happens, then nothing's going to change in regards to the work with the adaptive athletes. In fact, I'm hoping it's only going to grow, and I'm pretty excited about that. Other than that, that's it.
Cool.
So,
awesome.
Where can people go to learn a little bit more about you and what you have going on? I know you're capped out for members here.
Yeah. Well, oh my gosh, you type in Chappie Hunter in Google period, and you're gonna get all kinds of craziness. Okay. All kinds of crazy. You get stuff from the police department, you can get stuff from the past, you can get all kinds of stuff related to my accident, and you can get stuff about the gym. If specifically for the gym site itself, it's just alpineranchcrossfit.com is our website, and there's also a link in that website for adaptive athletes, which also links to the Working Wounded Games that happens every year back in Virginia. And the next one's, I think, is coming in November this year.
So very cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have you back a few more times. A lot.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Next one will have to be by the pool. So
Yeah, we'll be by the pool, have a little drink in our hand.
Exactly.
Scouting out all the next spots.
Yeah, deal. Thanks for having us here in your home, your garage.
You're welcome. You want dinner? Come on inside. We'll barbecue.
Oh,
yeah. Thank you.
That's all for now.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Chip the rep.
Thanks for listening to Lionheart Radio. Don't forget to rate us and download our other episodes. For your supplement needs, go to louaviv.com, and for your sports therapy needs, visit movement-rx.com.
Cleveland is the city where it's hustle or you hopeless. In my closet like a stove, bitch. Only difference is you ain't gon' find this in no stove, bitch. I'm fresher than your whole clique.